Welcome to the program. IGAD and ESC say the Ugandan polls met the minimum requirements for a free and fair election. The observers say voter turnout was high and poll counting appeared to be organized. They, however, say that they are observers and not a hearing mission. The African Union observers, however, said most polling stations were inaccessible to people with disabilities.
She appreciates the cooperation of the Electoral Commission in sharing information and for its accessibility. D encourages all stakeholders to pursue constitutional and legal reforms in order to improve the electoral process in Uganda. E commits itself to follow closely the remaining stages of the electoral process and avail a comprehensive report of the mission in due course. And F would like to thank the government and the people of Uganda and wish them well in this electoral process. Conclusion: as the electoral process is still ongoing, the EAC Election Observation Mission shall make a final pronouncement at the end of the process. In the meantime, I encourage the people of Uganda to remain calm and peaceful.
The political showdown in Kericho continues ahead of the senatorial by-election slated for 7th March. The Jubilee Alliance Party will today hold a public rally in Kericho to campaign for its candidate Aaron Cheruiyot. Yesterday, KANU staged a major rally to drum up supporters for the party's flag-bearer Paul Sang. The meeting comes even as a controversy reigns between Ruto's supporters. Mrimi Mwangi now reports from Kericho.
Campaigns for the Kericho senatorial seat are on top gear. The Jubilee coalition is set to hold major rallies here in Kericho today, spread out across Kipkelion constituency, Soin, Sigoet, Belgut, as well as Bureti constituency.
Na kwa sababu nafasi hiyo imepatikana, mimi nataka niombe kwa unyenyekevu mupatie Kiptoiyot kwa maaskari.
Ninaomba tarehe 7 mwezi wa 3, tafadhali kwa Mwenyezi Mungu akikupa nguvu hiyo siku, enda kura kwa polling station na upigie Kiptoiyot Sigolea.
Now, just yesterday, the KANU brigade was here drumming up support for their candidate Paul Sang at Kapkatet Stadium.
Mimi siendi Senate kufanyia kazi serikali. Hapana.
And the message was clear that this is the time for the KANU party to clinch their position on the South Rift politics. And they say this is a journey that begins by clinching this senatorial seat here in Kericho.
Hii safari ambayo imeanza leo ni safari ambayo itapita tarehe 7 na iende 17 na iende 22 na iende 32. Kericho, Bomet, Narok, Kajiado, tunataka tuongee mkawada. Tumekubaliana. Hiyo ndio
But the Jubilee coalition, on the other hand, is under intense pressure to clinch this seat, given that it would be a serious political miscalculation if this seat went to an opponent since the immediate former senator, Charles Keter, who was appointed to the cabinet, was a key leader of the URP party.
Nilipatia Keter awe waziri wa energy. Nilifanya makosa? Nilifanya makosa? Huyu kijana anaitwa Kiptoiyot kwa maaskari.
Now we will be here in Kericho giving you the developments of this campaign trail, of course, which has shaped up into a two-horse race between the Jubilee coalition and the Independence Party, KANU.
CORD leaders are expected to sustain their onslaught against the Jubilee administration as they converge in Bondo today. CORD leader Raila Odinga is leading his brigade to condole with the family of former Kisumu County ODM chairman, the late Dave Okwach. And joining us now by phone is from Bondo is our reporter Victor Ogale, who is keeping tabs on this story. Victor, good afternoon. What can you tell us from Bondo?
Yeah, the mood here is somber, and the political temperature is expected to hit fever pitch as we await the arrival of Raila Odinga, who's the CORD leader, together with his brigade to come here, the burial of Dave Okwach, who's the former chairman of ODM in Kisumu County.
Victor, of course, the main issue that the CORD coalition wants is registration of voters in this month-long mass voter registration exercise. What is their plan in Bondo to get voters to register?
Actually, now what they are doing is that the registration officials, what they are doing, they are going to the masses now. Like here, they come together in such as this one where we have funerals, they have where their weddings, and that's where they put their stations. Like even now, as we speak, there is one that is stationed here, and they expect people to continue registering even as they attend the burial ceremony.
Thank you very much. That is our reporter Victor Ogale reporting from Bondo. Now, the government has allocated money. I beg your pardon. The government has allocated 21.8 billion shillings the next financial year as conditional allocations in loans and grants to support healthcare services for county governments. This is a reduction by 5.2 billion shillings compared to the current financial year, where the government allocated 27 billion shillings. The monies, which will be managed by the national government, will fund activities such as free maternal care, leasing of medical equipment, supporting level 5 hospitals, and compensating county health facilities for not charging user fees in public health facilities.
Early last year, President Uhuru Kenyatta launched a multi-billion shillings medical equipment leasing plan to deliver accessible and affordable specialized health care for Kenyans at county government level.
All counties will have at least one level 4 and one level 5 hospital equipped with theater, laboratory, renal, intensive care, and radiology equipment. Kenyans will be able to have specialized and high-tech medical tests and therapies in their counties. 98 hospitals will benefit from this program.
But the pace of implementation has been slow. In the New Year address to the nation, President Uhuru said the government had already equipped 15 hospitals and was targeting to complete the remaining 79 county hospitals by June this year. Kisumu and Kiambu counties have received the specialized medical equipment for 2 hospitals each. Mogadishu, Kakamega, Bomet, Murang'a, Machakos, Elgeyo Marakwet, Homa Bay, Kisii, Kirinyaga, Laikipia, Nakuru, Nandi, and Taita Taveta counties have 1 hospital each equipped with specialized equipment. Kakamega and Bomet got the deliveries despite governors in those counties saying they had not signed the MOU.
One of the areas where inequality manifests itself most starkly in our country is access to quality health care. And this inequality literally is a matter of life and death.
In the Division of Revenue Bill 2016, tabled in the Senate this week, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich has allocated 4.5 billion shillings conditional grant to facilitate the leasing of medical equipment in the next financial year. Rotich says the money will facilitate the purchase of modern specialized equipment for at least 2 health facilities in each county government over the medium term and will be managed by the national government on behalf of the county governments. The government has set aside 4.1 billion shillings in conditional grants to support free maternal health care. The free maternal health care grants have been slashed by 200 million shillings compared to the current financial year's allocation of 4.3 billion shillings. The money is meant to reduce the high maternal and child mortality rates in Kenya. From July this year, the government proposes to allocate 4 billion shillings to level 5 hospitals, up from 3.6 billion shillings allocated the current financial year ending June. Level 5 hospitals provide specialized healthcare services for complicated cases referred from lower level health facilities. The conditional grant is meant to compensate level 5 hospitals for the costs incurred in rendering services to neighboring counties. Rotich says the money will be transferred to county governments as a conditional grant through the respective county revenue fund accounts. In the budget proposals, a special purpose grant of 200 million shillings has been established to support strengthening of access to emergency medical services in Lamu and Tana River counties. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich says the two counties are vulnerable to terror attacks, security threats, and humanitarian crisis. The funds will be shared equally by the two counties and will reinforce the capacity of Hola and Lamu referral hospitals to provide emergency medical care to critically injured patients. The support covers medical surgical equipment and infrastructure such as ICU, theatre, wards, and rehabilitation facilities. The government has also set aside 900 million shillings in the next financial year to compensate county governments for revenue foregone by not charging user fees in the county health facilities. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
KWS personnel have so far spotted one lioness in the hunt that began on Thursday. The lioness was spotted last evening during an oversight aerial and ground search along Langata Barracks. The officers also located a gap in the park fence which they suspect the lions have been sneaking through. The lioness, however, slipped through the gap back into the park, with the lions remaining elusive. The officers have now resorted to laying traps, an exercise that is expected to begin today.
Haya fadhali. Baba amevuka. Ameshtuka hata wewe hivyo. Inarudi fanya haraka. Imeenda imekimbia. Fuata.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is the third most followed African leader on Instagram. This is according to a new study by Basson Mastella, which is a leading global public relations and communications firm.
Study places Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi as the topmost African leader with the highest Instagram following. He has more than 500,000 followers. He is followed by Tanzania's former President Jakaya Kikwete, who has more than 53,000 followers. President Uhuru Kenyatta has over 51,000 followers, making him the most followed Kenyan leader on the social media platform. In fourth place is Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, who has about 45,000 followers.
I'm not going to make remarks here because...
The report, however, places US President Barack Obama as the most popular world leader on his Barack Obama campaign account. Obama is followed by Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, who has more than 2 million followers, with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming in third with 1.7 million followers. The report also names Obama as the most effective leader on Instagram, with more than 56,000 comments and likes for every post on the platform. He is followed closely by Indian Prime Minister Modi, who has 42,000 interactions per post, despite only having posted 37 pictures since starting out on Instagram in November 2014.
More than 58,000 children in drought-hit Somalia will starve to death if they do not receive urgent support, the United Nations warns. The UN said that an estimated 4.7 million people were in need of humanitarian assistance, and some 950,000 people struggle every day to meet their food needs. The warning is based on the latest data collected by the UN and comes just over 4 years since intense drought and war sparked a famine, killing more than 250,000 people. Northern Somali areas, including self-declared independent Somaliland along the Gulf of Aden and semi-autonomous Puntland, have especially been hard hit. The warning comes as neighboring Ethiopia struggles to combat its worst drought in 30 years. The first phase of construction of the new Mogadishu court and police complex is underway. The foundation stone for the complex was laid in the capital, Mogadishu, at a ceremony presided over by the Somalia Prime Minister Omar Abdirashid Ali, Dutch Ambassador to Somalia Frans Marken, senior United Nations officials and senior officials from the federal government of Somalia.
The project is a key component of the Global Maritime Crime Program of the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, which was originally launched in 2009 to provide support for the trials of piracy suspects in East Africa.
The foundation of a new grand complex of Mogadishu is a major investment of United Nations rule of law in Somalia. This first phase of the Grand Complex is going to be ready in the next 12 months, that judges and prosecutors will be able to handle proper trial in proper facilities.
Trials of high-risk suspects are projected to begin in the middle of 2017. When complete, the complex will provide accommodation for suspects and inmates near secure courthouse facilities to reduce the need to transport prisoners through Mogadishu, which exposes them and correction officers to risk of violent attacks.
This is not going to be only a punishing facility, it will serve as a correctional facility so that the offenders can reintegrate back to the community.
The UN Office for Project Services produced designs for the facility in consultation with the UNODC and is overseeing construction of the complex, which is expected to be completed by early 2018. The prison will be equipped with 1,000 beds and meet international human rights standards. 3 medium security cell blocks will be erected during the 3rd and 4th phases of construction.
The foundation of the new crime complex of Mogadishu is the major investment of United Nations rule of law in Somalia for the time being. We are going to start building the first phase out of 3 that are coming in the very next year. This first phase of the crime complex is going to be ready in the next 12 months, and judges and prosecutors will be able to handle proper trials in proper facilities.
The project is being undertaken within the structure of the Somali Joint Rule of Law Program under the Somali New Deal Compact's Peace and State Building Goal 3 that focuses on justice issues. Trix Ingado, KTN News.
A new paper by UNESCO's Global Education Monitoring Report says that 40% of school children do not access education in a language they understand. The policy paper was released ahead of International Mother Day Language on the February 21st. This raises the argument that being taught in a language other than their own can negatively impact children's learning, especially for those living in poverty. The paper has key recommendations to ensure that children are taught in a language that they understand. At least 6 years of mother language instruction is needed so that gains from teaching in mother tongue in the early years are sustained. Education policies should also recognize the importance of mother tongue learning, and a review of 40 countries' education plans finds that only less than half of them recognize the importance of teaching children in their home language, particularly in the early grades. Teachers also need to be trained to teach in 2 languages and to understand the needs of second language learners. Teachers are rarely prepared for the reality of bilingual classrooms, including with the inclusive of teaching materials and appropriate assessment strategies. In Senegal, only 8%, and in Mali, only 2% of trained teachers expressed confidence about teaching in local languages. You're watching the Weekend Express. Taking a short commercial break now. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to the Weekend at 1. Angola now seeks to conserve its biodiversity-rich wildlife and rebuild its elephant population. This comes as Angola prepares to host the 2016 World Environment Day celebrations, the United Nations Environment Programme, and the COP21 Climate Conference.
The single biggest day for positive action on the environment worldwide, which takes place on June 5th each year, will be themed around the fight against the illegal wildlife trade. This is an issue of particular importance in Angola, where poaching is threatening efforts to rebuild an elephant population decimated by decades-long civil war. Very little is known about the size of Angola's remaining elephant population, which historically lived in the southeast of the country, also crossing the borders to neighboring countries. The Great Elephant Census, the first aerial survey of known elephant ranges in Angola, is underway in an attempt to build a clearer picture of the population in the Kaza area. The information collected will be used in the government's elephant inventory program and for the conservation of wild habitats. The number of elephants killed in Africa in recent years is greater than 20,000 a year, out of a population of 420,000 to 650,000. According to data from the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, as many as 100,000 elephants were killed between 2010 and 2012. Across Africa, more elephants have been killed in recent years than have died of natural causes, And for forest elephants in Central and West Africa, the population declined by an estimated 60% between 2002 and 2011. Najma Ismail, KTN News.
And with that, we wrap up the weekend at 1. Many thanks for watching. My name is Michelle Ngene. Up next is African Voices.